This Talladega 2 NASCAR 2024 weekend betting recap edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code RACESGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. We are also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and the NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMN.
Driver! Start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome in to another episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. Cody, listen, first and foremost, when I read comments like this, it makes everything worthwhile. Trevor85, I think, says, my work day just became enjoyable. Thanks, guys. That makes me smile, Cody. We're doing
Shout
the
out
Lord's
to Trevor. Yeah. Hey, if we can cheer up somebody's work day, that's always awesome. So, yeah, love it. Shout out to you, Trevor. Thanks for joining us.
Indeed. Corey Ford also checking in right out of the jump. I'm telling you right now, if you're not joining us on YouTube too, here's my weekly plea to you to just go ahead and check us out because it's fun. Corey Ford saying 3-week winning streak terminated Dega style. I just need Bowman or Gill in the top 10 to save it. Gilly.
Damn. Hey, Andrew. Oh, boy. Ricky. I believe Andrew owes us some beers, Rod, because I saw that he was buying beers if Ricky won because he won a bunch of money on that. So shout out to him. TK checking in from down under. Dega style.
One more time.
Rod, one more time with the Michael Waltrip Brewing. Also, Rod, I did edit my name on the screen if you could see. I would appreciate if you could call me Cody Creed Zeeb the rest of the day. I don't know if you realize it, Rod, but I had an outright finish second place in the Truck Series. I had an outright finish second place in the Xfinity Series. And I had an outright finish second place in the Cup Series. So, yeah, it was a Sheldon Creed weekend for me, Rod. Seconds all around. God, so fucking close at Talladega. All three of them. JDK checking in. Race sucked. 4 wide is boring. That's what I've been hearing, JDK. I've heard that that race was extremely boring. We will definitely talk about that. Morning news music. Howdy, gentlemen. I had a Cindric win. Gill in top 5. Briscoe top 10. 'Twas a dark day. Oh boy. Yeah.
Listen, Cody Creed Zeeb, let me start with this. Well, okay. You know what? No, let's start with this. I want to first tell you that we want to thank you guys as always for tuning in to this NASCAR Gambling Podcast. And if you can head to Spotify right now, the bosses are actually pushing this on us because we need these to survive. This is it. Podcasts, they need ratings to grow, right? I mean, it's like you wouldn't leave your plant out in the hot Sahara sun and just let it sit there, right? No, you water it.
Is that why my plant died?
That is no what this doesn't come with a instruction manual, damn it. I need to know why. But this is why. Don't let this show become like Cody's plant and just completely die. Give us the 5-star ratings. Give us all of the reviews that you could possibly give us. Only you, my friends, can prevent corporate gambling from taking over the space. Let the SGPN and the NASCAR Gambling Podcast flourish and grow with your 5-star reviews and your ratings. To get that out of the way. But let me ask you, Cody, because I know that I left this weekend with mixed feelings. And I say that because the other words that I want to use to describe it are
all three of your outrights finished second place, Rod?
Because all three of your outrights finished in second place. No, and I'll talk about it as we get to each individual race, but they all had their good points, but then they all had this cloud of like, like there was great stuff going on. I did enjoy the 4-wide racing because it's technically hard to do any of that. Yeah. And it makes for an exciting, what happens if somebody twitches? Well, we saw what happens if somebody twitches. The whole thing goes collapse.
Biggest wreck in Talladega history.
Yeah. Well, look, it looked like Talladega nights, to be honest with you. Everybody's crashed out, and almost had the Frenchman and Ricky Bobby running for the finish line. But yeah, I mean, how did you feel overall? Because I know, like I said, I left with mixed feelings.
Yeah, I mean, I always enjoy super speedway racing. I think that it's fun, it's exciting. Like, you get to some of these tracks like Bristol a few weeks ago, and we complained that Kyle Larson led all 467 laps. Well, nobody led 467 laps this weekend. I mean, which way do you want? It's constant. You don't know. Like, 20 laps into the Bristol race, if nothing goes wrong, it's probably going to be a Kyle Larson day, right? I mean, things can happen. Things can go wrong. I get it, right? But, like, in this race and in all three races this weekend, you don't know who's going to win until, 20 feet before the line. Kyle Larson finished in, third place, which we'll get to. Don't worry. And he didn't even know who. Like, I was watching that spotter audio that's floating around today. He's like, who won? Who got it? Like, he had a front row seat. He couldn't even tell, right? Like, it comes down to the very end. You don't know who's going to win. That's what makes it exciting. Look, is Dale Earnhardt going to come from 18th to win the race with 3 laps to go like he did in 2000 to Talladega? No, it's not the type of racing, and it's different. But these guys in the Cup Series specifically, I've just heard people hating on it. Like, they were going 190 miles an hour, 3-4 wide throughout the day, side by side, inches apart from each other. One tiny mistake cost 28 drivers, right? And that was the only wreck we had, which I think sort of plays into maybe not some things not working out the way we wanted to, because there was only one wreck. But you also, not only that, you get strategy mixed in there, right? We got green flag pit stops, which we always love on super speedways, because we saw what happens, right? People get penalties, people spin out, crazy things going on. You get different guys on different strategies. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. his crew chief calculates exactly how much to take to get to overtime, win the race, come out ahead of all the Chevys, so he would have the advantage. So when the Chevys are going, like, there's plenty of things throughout the race that were exciting, and track position mattered, yes, but you could still pass. Lines were having runs. Like, I just don't, like, it seems to me, Rod, like every single week we watch these races and then we're like, ooh, what did we not like about it? What can we complain about this week? Like, do we have to complain every week? Like, if you watched the football game last night, like, was it the prettiest football game ever? No. Was it? But we had an exciting finish, right? It came down to drives at the end. You got to see some exciting plays. You got some exciting defensive stuff. Like, wasn't the worst football game ever. Now, the Patriots-Dolphins one might have gave you a run for that on Sunday, but, like, I don't know. Do we always have to complain? Can we just look for the positives? And it was exciting. We got the big wreck that everybody knows is, and, like, I'm on the edge of my seat I'm like, and I kept telling them, I'm like, oh, it's coming. It's coming. Oh, they're about to go. Oh, and then it's like, you see one guy wiggle, you're like, oh, here it comes. And then you're like, oh, not yet. And it's like, like, it's coming, right? And you could see it, and it's forming, and then it does happen, and you're like, there it is. I knew it was coming. Like, and then it's like, oh, did Larson get through? That's the first thing I was looking for. Unfortunately, he did, but no, that's how it goes. So I don't know. Overall, I don't know. And, like, I don't remember which one it was, but some people waited too late to make moves.
That was the truck race. We'll get there.
Yeah, that was the truck race, and it's like, but those guys are younger and less experienced. I don't know.
Oh, no. We cannot gloss that one. When we get to the truck race, I most certainly want to get to that, because that, to me, was probably the most frustrating part of the weekend. But I'm with you overall in that.
Oh, we fixed the problem. Cars should be going 800 miles an hour, eliminate stages, 5 wide, finish. People would still complain. We should race back to the caution. We should, I mean, it's just like, Bring back the good old days when Ned Jarrett wins and second place is 12 laps down. Like
here's what I've devised over the here's what I've decided. Here's what I've figured out since the creation of the internet, in that we should not hear what everybody thinks. I'm totally on board with going back to the days.
That's what we're here for, Rob.
Well, no, listen, I want to know what these guys think. I don't want to hear what everybody else out there, the uneducated masses, think. No, I'm just kidding. Listen, it's true though. I feel like there's a lot of people out there that their sole purpose in life is to be very negative. Now, granted, I'm not saying you can't have a negative opinion. I'm not saying that you can't disagree with things, but like, save it every once in a while. You don't have to, like, every single thing that comes on is not the worst thing in the world. It's like, really though, because if it is, why are you watching?
Yeah. And think of some of these super speedway races that we've had where things did they run single file at all during that cup race?
I don't think
so. I don't, but we've had some Daytona races specifically that it just gets strung out and everybody's saving fuel. And sure, Rod, they're saving fuel. I get it. If you're watching that race, can you really tell they're saving fuel? They're going pretty fucking fast.
You're watching their feet, you know that they're saving
fuel. Well, we've got all the data. It's all, like, if it's not perfect, like, sorry that we're smarter than they were in the 90s and 80s when they didn't know that you should save fuel. Like this is the evolution of the sport. And we now have all of this data at our fingertips. It tells us, okay, we should leave this pitcher in for exactly 19 pitches. Don't let him get to the 20th pitch because that's when he's going to start to suck. Should we kick this field goal, or should we go for it on 4th and 5 here? Because more times than not, you're going to get it. Should we go for 2 after we score the touchdown when we're down 14 because there's a higher chance of us winning the race? Yeah, you wouldn't have done all that stuff in the 80s because we're fucking stupid back then and couldn't figure it out. I don't know. Like, things have gotten where we know things better now, and this is the most elite of the elite doing everything they can to gain every little single edge of everything. And that's what we want, isn't it? Like, we want these guys to use every single possible advantage. Dale Earnhardt could see the air. In his day, that was the big advantage, right? Well, now we have advantages. Use them. I don't know. Anyways, let's get to the bets, Rod.
Okay, we can get to the bets. But I'm telling you right now, Lightning McQueen needs to be in that simulation center as much as humanly possible. So let 95 cook. All right, we'll be right back to break down our bets from Talladega, but I want to take this opportunity to tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Got my underdog picks in right now for this game. They're giving you a Patrick Mahomes half a yard higher or lower than, and I think they are only offering the higher than. I don't know why. Patrick Mahomes we talked about how hard it would be for.
Is this bad news for Chiefs fans, Rod? Because I didn't go so well for Tyreek last week.
Oh, Tyreek barely made it over the half yard that they were getting him. But Patrick Mahomes over or higher than a half a yard. That is the pretty much gimme pick of the. I'm using that one. I'm taking Xavier Worthy. Higher than 3.5 receptions as well. So hopefully I get that in there. So got some good underdog picks there. Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus for all of sports: NFL, college football, MLB, MMA, WNBA, NASCAR, Formula One, so much more. That lobby's jam-packed with profit boosts. And you can also use specials and boosts on all flex entries like I am with mine today. Make sure you take advantage of that Patrick Mahomes half-yard one. That's definitely good. Sign up with our promo code RACESGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN. Truly hoping that this game is actually pretty good tonight. I'm looking forward to a good. I watched the Niner game and promptly had to just walk outside and scream. My neighbors probably wondered what the heck was going on.
Try being a Patriots fan, right? That's not a lot of fun these days.
Put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
That game was rough. I am in a win-win situation tonight in my second chance survivor pool, which a lot of people already got eliminated from thanks to the Giants yesterday. I picked the Chiefs, and so if the Chiefs win, I survive. If the Chiefs lose, that's great because the Chiefs lost. So it's good either way. But Corey is saying, trying to think of what could have made the race better. I guess the race would be better if when the caution came out and the race paused at the lap the wreck occurred. All laps run under green, one under caution. That could get Yeah, we'd never end truck races if
this is true.
That's let itself play out more. You give fans more racing. Yeah, no. I mean, the races are probably already long enough and whatnot. It does. The stage cautions are ridiculous.
They need to go.
I mean, do we need to run 13 laps under caution because the stage ended? Like, caution flag, the stage ends. Get everybody caught up. Pit, choose, green flag. Like, it shouldn't be that hard. I don't. Anyway,
but Cody, how will it ever fit all the commercials they need to fit in?
Well, I love commercials, love advertising. Commercials are great, but we still get plenty of commercials in. So
indeed. All right, it was the Yellowwood 500 at the Talladega Superspeedway in Talladega, Alabama. Congratulations to Recky Spinhouse, who could not spin his way out of a win this week, although his car looked like it took the brunt of everybody's accidents over the course of the day, but still took it home.
Got it done. 4th career win for him. He's got 2 at Daytona now. So, hey, he's a good super speedway guy. Always somebody that should be in consideration, and he outlasted everybody and made it there. So, shout out to Mr. Stenhouse.
Was it our bad for not really highlighting him?
So, Stenhouse is a tricky one, right? Because if you look at his things, and it's sort of like Keselowski, like when I made the case for Keselowski, we know he's capable of winning here, right? And he either is right there with a chance to win. He was a couple feet away from getting this victory, or he wrecks out. And that's the thing with Stenhouse is he's tougher to bet top 10 because you're not getting really good odds, and the inconsistency is kind of there. So he's a guy you could always bet on to win if you wanted to, right? There's a handful of those guys always capable of doing it. Now he's only got 4 wins in his long career. I mean, he's been in the series for a long time, so they're sort of spread out. They're sort of sporadic. I'm not really sad for having not had him on the card, I guess.
Indeed.
All right, Rod. Let's it's baseball playoff times. I would like to start off with an analogy, right? You're a pitcher, okay, and you're facing this batter, and this batter is 1 for 46 against you. Right, 1 hit in 46 tries or 45 tries. Right? No, we're not 40. This will be the 46th attempt. Let's say that guy hits a home run off of you. Now he's 2 for 46 off of you. Do you? Are you really upset about that?
So you tip your cap, give him a little pat on the ass as he marches by.
The next time that he's up to bat, you're thinking to yourself in the Daytona 500, "Oh, we fucking own this guy. We're 2 for 46 against him. Let's go." So. Don't worry. It'll be back. Daytona 500. CT, I got you. Kyle Larson. Fade Kyle Larson. It's not ending. It's going to continue. This was a bit of contention over in the Discord. Look, here's the thing with the Kyle Larson thing, right? Kyle Larson ran a great race. Where did he ended up in 4th place officially at the end of the day? And had a chance to win it right there at the end. Congratulations to Kyle Larson, the greatest race car driver in the world. I've said that a million times. He cashed for us big a couple of weeks ago at Bristol. Love the guy. We've made a lot of money off of him. This was probably a championship winning race for Kyle Larson. If he wins a championship, it's because how they ran at Talladega this week. He's essentially almost locked in. I mean, a lot of things need to go wrong for him not to make it to the next round. He should be really good in the next round. He should be in the championship 4, and he's going to be tough to beat if he gets there. So this could possibly have won him his second championship. But great run by Kyle Larson. Finished in 4th place. Tip of the cap to you. It was absolutely great. Now, looking back, knowing that Kyle Larson finished in 4th place, Rod, would I have not faded Kyle Larson? Absolutely, I would have faded Kyle Larson. I will continue to fade Kyle Larson going forward because he's only done it 2 times in 46 tries, Rod. He's not a great super speedway racer. And the thing we say about it every single time, listen to the show, people, he's going to look good throughout the day. He's going to be fast. He's going to be up front. He's going to be mixing it up. He usually gets caught up in stuff. We had 1 wreck and if you tell me before, there's only going to be 1 wreck, that decreases my level of confidence in this because the whole entire point of fading Kyle Larson on super speedways is not that he's not good. It's not that he's not up front all day. It's that there is enough wrecks. He's going to find a way to get into it. We had 1 wreck in which he was almost in. He barely squeaked through it, and it took out 28 cars, and that was it. That was the only – we had the wreck at the end of the stage. That took out a couple of guys. I guess you'd count that too, but this was the only big one, right? And it was the biggest one ever, which is crazy. 28 cars, insane. But look, sometimes you're going to just end up on the wrong side of a bet. Sometimes the numbers are going to tell you everything is one way and it doesn't happen. It's fine. Again, if you listen to the show, you go into this expecting to have lost all of these bets. So this wasn't a loss anyways, because it was already a loss before the race started. We made it back in some other ways we'll talk about in a little bit, which is fine. And really, I mean, the one I gave out on the show was Bowman. I added Cindric from the Discord. On race day, I got William Byron, which actually cashed because he still finished ahead of him. But the point is, in general, you fade Kyle Larson at super speedways because more times than not, it cashes. And we have 6 races this season. We can go back and look. More of the head-to-heads you cash than you didn't. They don't always cash. If you're going to cherry pick, well, I only like this matchup. The problem with that is anybody can get caught up in it. It doesn't matter how good you've always been. If it was Dale Earnhardt and Kyle Larson matched up in this, yeah, Dale Earnhardt's won a lot of fucking super speedways. He's the greatest super speedway racer of all time, but he still got caught up in some wrecks, right? And so he's not going to beat him every single time. But if you're playing as many as you can get against him every time, you're hitting more times than you're not. So the system remains fine. It's intact. It didn't cash this week, which is fine because we went into this race knowing none of these bets were going to cash anyways because that's the approach we take on super speedways. It's an L. Fine. Move on. Daytona 500. I can 100% promise you if this show is renewed and back for next season, which I'm thinking it probably will be, and if I'm still invited back, and if I'm not, I'll be spouting off on Twitter about how you fucking fake Kyle Larson because that's the plan, and it works more times than it doesn't. So, again, it's not a perfect system. He's gotten a top 5 before. We're 2 out of 46, so I like those odds more times than not, right?
Oh, and the books would love those odds too, because 2 out of 46 is usually pretty good when you know hit him. Look, he even admits the pre-race interview, he even said it himself. He's like, something always seems to get us on these super speedways. I don't know. I practice, I learn, I do whatever. I'm just trying to not get in it. Like that's his big philosophy on super speedways. And this time it worked. So good to him. We definitely are. We're Kyle Larson fans. I mean, let's put it this way.
He's the greatest. Again, on the main SGP show, there's been like 10 million views on the little clip between me and Kramer. Like he's arguing Max is the best driver in the world. That's not. Kyle Larson is the best race car driver in the world right now, hands down. There is no question about it. I won't even argue with you because you're wrong if you don't think so. I mean, I love the guy, and he is the greatest race car driver in the world right now. There's one weakness. I love to exploit it because it's made us a lot of money over the years, and it's really stacked up. So a loss here and there, that's how things go. It's still gambling, right? It's still super speedway racing. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah. And again, he's a really great guy too in person. Like every time I've talked to him, every time I met him, like I've always been able to walk up.
He'll stay all night at the dirt track. Like after the races in the pits, he's signing autographs. Like he won't leave until everybody's got him. Like the coolest guy in the world. But I'd say it's what it is. So
gotta love that Ricky Stenhouse wins this race and Kyle Larson gets more airtime than him. Even still, sorry, Ricky. I know this is the way of the world. All right, I had SVG, another guy who gets a lot of airtime more than Ricky Stenhouse. SV as a top 10 car. SVG was a top 10 car at the end. SVG got bumped out of the top 10 over the last couple of cautions. It was so rough because here's the thing about SVG. Okay. He actually learned. He was up there at the front. He led 9 laps of this race. I mean, he was right there at the end. He was doing everything he needed to do. He didn't get caught up into that gigantic wreck. He managed to kind of skirt his way through that. But unfortunately, I mean, he needed that much more help at the end. He needed to hook himself up with the right people at the right time at the end to get himself into a top 10. But 15th, right, for SVG, started 17th. Yeah. When guys like Chastain and Logano and Elliott and AJ Allmendinger, all these guys end up finishing 25th or worse, and he ends up coming out of this 15th. I mean, SVG top 10 at plus 350 or plus 360 even was a hell of a bet.
And yeah, like TK pointed out, he did have to pit for fuel with that last caution, that big caution, and they checked for damage, and so that put him behind. And then he just couldn't get. And I feel like at one point maybe he got up into that third lane and nobody went with him, and
that was it too. That they dumped him. Yep.
Yeah.
He
got hung out to dry, and that's part of it. I mean, we saw that with Kyle Busch too, right? Like, go for it. If you're Kyle Busch, why wouldn't you? You have to make that move and go create that lane, because if that goes, that could be the race winning move. Nobody went with him, which for everybody saying they want to see him win, why nobody went with him is maybe another story, but yeah, that's how it goes, Rod. So, all right. I had a couple of top Ford. Well, we'll just go with this. Todd Gilliland. I had Todd Gilliland top 5, 8-1. I also had him top Ford at 22-1. Now, this is the perfect, maybe not the perfect example, but close to a perfect example. Brad Keselowski finishes in second place. He's the top finishing Ford, Rod, right? But if you take Brad Keselowski off the board, the next Ford on the board, Cody Ware all the way back in 12th place. Now, obviously, Keselowski cashed it at the top, but that is the point of taking these longer shot bets, is because all of the Fords got wiped out, first of all, in that stage 2 deal, right? Because that was Blaney and Logano and McDowell, I think, was involved in that one. Like, it took out a bunch of Fords, but if you look at the finishing board, Chastain in 40th and Blaney in 39th, or not Blaney, Hemrick in 38th. Otherwise, 32nd to 39th are all Fords. Like, it was a rough day for the Fords. And so that you're just hoping to pick the guy that lasts this, right? And Gilliland was fast. He was up there in the mix. Then, of course, he gets the pit penalty for speeding coming onto pit road. Potentially, maybe was part of the creation of that big wreck at the end there because he's slowed everybody down. I don't exactly know what happened there, but yeah. And so he recovered for 23rd. Like, he ended up being the fifth finishing Ford on the day. So I think the top 5 would have had a chance and a possibility. So I don't hate having had either of these. Then Rod, the top Toyota market, John Nemechek at 20-1. He got caught up in stuff, and he was the last car running, but a lot of damage, 31st place for him. But Eric Jones, top Toyota, 10-1. There it is, right? This is why you take those, because he was the best finishing Toyota in 5th place. Eric Jones loves this place. Good day for us with Eric Jones. Comes home in 5th place. Bell is in 6th place, so he ends up taking home the top Toyota honors at 10-1. Nice little bet for you, especially because you entered this race having lost all of your bets and not expecting to cash any. Boom, 10-1. That's already a strong day for us. So, yes, Eric Jones gets it done once again, Rod.
Yeah, and look, what's great is that his owner was up in the box waiting and watching for that to occur. And I made a joke in Discord that I love when Jimmy Johnson's in the booth because it's the most I get to see him during a race anymore, which, is true. I get to actually see him. And he
gets a lot of coverage on that lap 2 crash he's in every race he's in.
But that's it. But then that's it. Like, there's nothing else after that.
They should just pull him into the booth after the crash. Like, let him have his crash early in the race, and then just go to the care center, and then come out, interview yourself, right? You can just be like, "Oh, what'd you think, Jimmy? Well, another lap 2 crash. Okay, all right, I'll see you guys in the booth," and then there he is.
Well, I'm here with myself after this wreck. I just got checked and released from.
Let's send it down to Jimmy. Well, guys, I'm here with 7-time champion, 83-time NASCAR Cup Series winner, Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy, how do you feel?
Hurt.
Oh, Jimmy.
I don't want to be in this anymore. All right. Let's get to some more of our favorite bets. But let's tell you about a book we love the most, and that's BetUS, because guess what? They've actually been giving us some fantastic NASCAR odds over the last few weeks, and they're going to continue to do so throughout the season. So make sure you check out BetUS, because we're brought to you by BetUS. Bet with the best in the business, BetUS. BetUS has been around for more than 30 years. You can easily deposit using cryptocurrency and get lightning fast payouts. As always, U.S. players are welcome. Sign up and deposit $100. And you got a chance to win a 1960 Ford Mustang. Woof. We're going to tell you some of our favorite BetUS bets that cashed over the weekend. And in the meantime, use our link to sign up and get a 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. Promo code SGPN so they know that we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book. Let's also tell you about Rhythm. SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. You can build your own model, copy one of the top-performing models from the leaderboard, or press Build a Model for Me, and Rhythm gives you predictions for every game and player prop, and also has a myriad of stats, research, and trend analysis to give you even more betting insights. Told you I am high on Xavier Worthy. They've got his reception totals at about 3.5. I'm trying to figure out, and I used Rhythm to build me a model to tell me whether or not I should take the over or the under for that. And overwhelmingly, Rhythm told me take the over on Xavier Worthy's receptions total. So I'm going to take that this week. Hopefully, Xavier Worthy is going to pick up where Rashee Rice left off and get us a lot of catches in this game tonight. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. And selfishly, I just want Worthy to get into the end zone first because I've got a first touchdown prop on him that I want to see go at about 9-1, 10-1, depending on where you're getting it. So,
last time you tossed out a first touchdown prop on the show, Rod.
It cashed, didn't it? Yeah, that was a lot of fun. A lot of people in there took it and ended up cashing on that one. So, just so you know, I mean, it's all of the Chiefs' first touchdowns have come by way of a touchdown pass. None of them have come from the ground so far. So just so you know that. But of course, they haven't scored the first touchdown ever in their 4 games this season, so that might be tough as well. Anyway,
who knows, Rod? Maybe it's nice tonight.
You know what else cashed? Justin Haley, top 10 car, plus 240. Look, this 7 car, we said it. I mean, it didn't matter who's driving in it, who's behind it, who's the pilot of it. And the fact that Justin Haley ended up being the pilot of it this week on a super speedway made it even more enticing because we know that Haley is halfway decent at super speedways. Put him in that 7 car. We knew he was going to be a contender. He led 9 laps in this race too. So this wasn't a fluke. This wasn't just because everybody crashed out. He was actually in the front mix. He was actually doing good things in that 7 car, putting it in a good position, keeping it out of trouble. He kept it clean all day long. Put it inside of the top 10. I'm really impressed with that. The fact that he was able to do that. And of course, we did talk about LaJoy a little bit too in that 51. He was on the broadcast. He led 5 laps in this one. So super speedway LaJoy is there. We'll talk about him in a little bit, but that 7 car continues to hold the legacy of not legacy, but the legacy of the predecessor that came before it. So good on Haley to get there. And then I thought Briscoe was going to ruin this bet for sure. The winner of Group E at plus 290. So you even got a better deal for him to beat 3 cars, all the 3 SHR cars. And guess what? He beat Briscoe. He beat Barry. He beat Gregson. It wasn't much for, look, Briscoe was actually looking really good overall this race. And I almost thought for sure, like I said, he was going to end up getting him. But again, because Justin Haley finishes in 7th place, none of those guys finished above him. In fact, as I scroll, I'm trying to figure out.
You got to scroll way down. So for the record, Rod, and this is what makes these bets fun on super speedways, Haley could have finished in 29th place and still cash this bet for you.
There you go. Yeah, because guess what? Because Briscoe finishes in 30th. And he was running too. That was the thing. So Briscoe finishes in 30th. Barry finishes in 36th. And who was the other one? Gregson. Poor Gregson.
Yeah. Yeah, they were all swept up in between those 2 crashes. So hey, I mean, obviously Haley finished in 7th, so great run by him. But again,
hang tight. I'm as Racing Reference has the cautions, right? Where they tell you the cautions. This is what's funny because when the list of cars makes the screen go that much wider, it's hilarious. 46, 45, 34, 17, 9, 13, 2, 21, 22. They pretty just could have just put the one.
Get a list of the cars who weren't in the wreck. It was actually a small shorter. It was more than half the field, Rod. A lot more than half the field, which is, again, that wreck was pretty crazy. But yeah, this was a great call by you. Haley's always been a good super speedway guy. We've seen that 7 car do things on super speedways as well. So great call on both of those bets by you. Top Chevy bets. I had those, and you end up with a fair amount of Chevys up here, obviously, as the Fords took themselves out, and Toyota actually represented pretty well as well. But I had AJ Allmendinger, Zane Smith, 2-1, 35-1. Look, a long shot to beat Top Chevy. Well, Ricky Stenhouse wins, right? He wasn't as long of a shot, but still a longer shot. Justin Haley was the 4th best finishing Chevy. So these guys can get it done. AJ ended up, where did AJ end up? He ended up in 28th. He had gotten damaged in one of those wrecks. And then for Zane, he ended up, where did Zane? He was 21st. I don't really know what happened to Zane. I don't remember seeing too much of Zane, but again, you're just kind of taking some sprinkles of some guys who could have a chance. Didn't work out this time. That's how it goes.
Yeah, Zane actually did get mixed up. He was one of the 29 cars that got mixed up at the end of that
Again,
as well.
Who wasn't?
Yeah, but AJ took damage earlier in the race too.
He was in that stage 2. Was he in the one at the end of stage 2? Did he get a piece of that?
No, he got the free pass at the end of that one. He got touched up a little bit. It wasn't huge damage, but it was enough to kind of put him behind the 8 ball. So yeah. Speaking of somebody that took a lot of damage, Blaney had him as a top 3 car. He finishes 39th. He started 5th. I mean, damn, that was such a great start for Blaney. He was looking good, leading 6 laps, up in the mix. Like he finished, what was it? He finished stage 1 in 10th place. And then, I mean,
stage 2, he finished in 8th before he got junked coming across the line. I mean,
which was hilarious to have him just kind of skirting across in 8th. And it was
at least he got those stage points.
I know. Well, it was by the tongue of his car. I mean, you saw the tongue like out. That was like crossing the finish line like that. But yeah, unfortunately, he did get caught up in that wreck at the end of stage 2. Couldn't get there. Couldn't be a top 3 car at the end. I would have loved to have seen what he could have done had he been able to stay in that race the whole time, because that 12 car was great.
Yeah, as it always is. I mean, he's really, really good at Talladega. So, and again, this is the type of things that happen at super speedways. He's probably the best. I mean, there's no question over the last handful of races, the best active driver at Talladega. Like he's been really, really good there. And it happens. Like he was having a great race, put himself in good position, wrong place at the wrong time. That's how these things go. And to speak back to the excitement of this race, the end of stage 1 was very exciting and fun. The end of stage 2, like the intensity was there. These guys knew this is your chance before the 28 car wreck that's upcoming that we all know is going to happen. This is your chance to get points and secure your position to continue to run for a championship. And I mean, yeah, well, it just like we saw the intensity there. And I mean, what was Larson's radio after stage 1? It was like, holy crap, that was way more intense than it needed to be. Like, because fucking stage points matter. And like, this is our chance to, for sure, no matter what happens, walk out of here with points in our pocket. And William Byron is already locked into the next round because he scored a fuck ton of stage points. I mean, 3rd and 5th, got a lot of points, and then he ends up finishing 3rd. But Rudy Fiegel was telling him, and maybe why he missed out on that big wreck, like, hey, if it gets squirrely, we've already got a lot of points in our pocket. Just go get a decent finish. If it's, I think he said at one point, if it's 21st, you've got all these points you're going to get. It's a strong points day, like, and he still ends up in 3rd place. So locks himself into the next round. But again, to speak to the excitement of the race, I thought it was a good one. So Eric Jones, top 10 plus 240. Should have took the top 5. I mean, is really the only critique I have here. He ends up getting it done. He was in that wreck, that 28 car wreck. He was one of those cars, and I saw that pink car, and I'm like, oh no. But minor damage, bounced right back and ends up with a good finish in 5th place there. Eric Jones, really, really good here. That was the first Legacy Motor Club top 5 in Toyota, Rod. So been a rough first season for them there, but had Alfredo at 12-1 for the top 5. I mean, really, if you look at the top 5, Stenhouse and Jones, I guess, in there, but then Keselowski, Byron, and Larson. You could say Larson, a bit of an upset for a top 5 at this track if you wanted to. But otherwise, you didn't really have anything too crazy up there. Justin Haley, Cody Ware was 12th, but a lot of the bigger names up here. Alfredo, 24th place. He was in the mix.
He actually, so he was in that middle lane once upon a time and running around the top 10.
Yeah.
So
there was, you would see him come up there and be in the mix. And look, we know what Alfredo can do. We've seen it before plenty of times, and didn't catch this time, but that's how it goes.
Indeed. Yeah. It wasn't that far fetched, because he was that. They were like, oh, look, it's Anthony Alfredo. He's in the mix. And so, it wasn't that bad of a call. Boy, I tell you, this one had me. I had one of the paper bags. I was just the whole time until the end, because I thought, how on God's green earth are we going to get out of Talladega and not have a wreck that's going to take out a lot of cars? And then sure enough, it happened. Under 29 and a half cars on the lead lap. Man, this was not looking good for a very long time.
There's only 40 cars in the race, and 28 of them were in one wreck.
Yeah, but surprisingly enough, though, 23 of them still finished on the lead lap. So, there was a lot of cars that were out there, but 22 of them rather finished on the lead lap. So, in a 29 car wreck, I mean, a lot of them got back out there. So that's that's a credit to all of them for however not taking a lot of damage or just, being able to, because by the time it just looked like a used car lot out there after that wreck. It was just all these cars were just stalled and stopped or whatever. And I thought there's no way. Of course, the fact that they red flagged that thing helped as well, because then you weren't trying to run caution laps with everybody parked out on the car. But anyways, under 29 and a half cars on the lead lap. Like I said, 22 cars ended up finishing on the lead lap in this race. Cash it, baby.
Yeah, this was, again, looking back, like, I mean, unless that big wreck waits until the final lap of the race, like, it just, how was the over on this going to cash? So great call by you. The penny lift, Rod, didn't stack any pennies this week. Corey LaJoie, the top 10, top 5, top 4 to win the race. Had it all. Yeah, 18th place finish. Okay, good enough, right? But not what you wanted. But like you said, he was in the mix, led some laps. He was kind of up there throughout the day, and you saw flashes of him. Gets caught up in that wreck, and he ended up continuing after that, but with some damage. So again, why do you pick Corey LaJoie every single time going to Super Speedway? Well, because at the Daytona 500 this year, he cashes a bunch of bets. Because at Atlanta last year, he cashes a bunch of bets. Because it's not, again, like, you got to stick with the system, right? It didn't cash this time, but how many times has it cashed? And for big numbers, right? 22-1 top Chevy or 10-1 top 5 or whatever. Like, it's the way you got to play super speedways. If you're playing the same guys, which in a lot of scenarios I do, they're not always going to come in every single time, because that's the super speedway aspect of things. But over the long term, it's been a positive play. That's why we continue to go back to the same guys time and time again, because they get the job done, and they win us money more times than they don't, or enough to balance out, based on what odds you're getting and everything, that you end up in the long term of it. So you can't just look at 1 week and be like, why, you didn't have to use this? Like, yeah, well, it's a super speedway and 28 fucking cars crashed at once. So yeah, if anybody could tell you exactly what's going to happen there, I'd love to hear it, because yeah, it's how it goes. But doesn't cash this time. But if he's back next year, why would I quit it? It's worked out so many times. And if he ends up in the Xfinity Series or Truck Series, even better, because he's going to have a better chance there. So it's going to be back if he's back. And if not, well, maybe you've heard the end of Corey LaJoie's corner.
Well, look, hey, we used to have that back in the day too. That was my little intro music for you too. Look, Cody Ware, his teammate, finished in 12th. That's two spots out of the top 10. So I mean, if that's anything for you, then that'll. Yeah,
and like, as much as you might want to clown on Corey LaJoie, like, we know Corey LaJoie is the much better driver of the two. Like, that's not even questionable. So it's just, I mean, Ware does it again. We need to start looking at Ware every time, probably, because he consistently, like, he's so bad that he just ends up there at the end, because he's so far back that he just misses everything. And shout out to him for that, because it's great.
Not even that he misses everything. He sees it all happening in front of him and can slam on the brakes in enough time to completely drive around.
And that's just a real quick off-topic subject. My main DFS lineup this week, Rod, I left $11,000 on the table and for salary, and fucking cleaned up. I mean, it was a very good week for me in DFS. It was all guys that started in the 30. Every single one of them started in the 30s. They were all somewhat cheaper or whatever, but and some of them wrecked, but still, look at again, more than half the field wrecked, so that's going to happen, right? But when we tell you the DFS portion of things, it's fine to leave money on the $11,000. You could have fit an entire Kyle Larson plus into my lineup with the money that was left over, and it beat out lineups that used all their stuff. Like, just to reiterate that point of when we say that in DFS, this was an example of it worked out perfectly that way.
Indeed. All right. So what car number does Ricky Stenhouse drive?
47.
All right. Well, then that's over 12.5. So that did not count. I was taking the plus money side of it. There was a lot of cars in the mix that were under 12.5 that could have been.
But two in the top 4. I mean, that's pretty, like, when it's at Talladega, like, second place isn't finishing 10 seconds back. Like, this isn't the old Talladega when you want to go back to the days of racing. We had just one car beat everybody. But anyways.
Yep. And so so winning car number under 12.5 did not hit.
Plus money side thing, plus 140 especially. Plus you get guys all the way until the end. Wait, hey, look, Kyle Larson wins, but you cashed a bet on Kyle Larson, didn't you? So that's how it goes. So outrights, Rod, Zane Smith 90-1. We talked about him. Eric Jones 55-1, be in the top 5 at the end of the day. You take that. You love it. Tyrone Gibbs, 33-1.
I'm not going to say it because I've already said it enough times for you people to understand. This is not just he's going to break
Anyways,
a sophomore slump.
He finished in 13th, which is not that bad. It's only one spot behind Cody Ware. Wait, I don't think that helped my case. Okay, sorry. But I don't regret having money on him. Bubba Wallace at 21-1. He ends up in 9th place. You'll take it at that price. Keselowski, just close. Rod, we were right there. I mean, this was a very close finish, like 0.005 seconds or something. Very close, 12-1. Just about won this race. And that's what you're looking for, is a guy to be there at the end with a chance. You had it. He didn't quite get it done. Maybe if he'd had a real super speedway driver pushing him instead of Kyle Larson, he would have got there. But no, just kidding.
Or was it the order? Do not push him to the win.
Yeah, well, that's the whole other, which again, like, why can't that's not manipulating the race. Just don't push him. And like that could be portrayed as, sure, don't push him because he's a Ford, but also like, hey, we're about to finish third here and end up with a great points day. Let's not fuck this up and wreck. Like, you only have one top 5. Let's make it 2.
We've seen what that pushes do to cars. Yeah, like you don't square
that's
up.
Not a bad. And if you look at the SMT, he never lifted. So it did look, because in live time, I thought, because obviously I was very invested in watching Keselowski, and I'm like, why is he not pushing? Because it looked like he just let off, but I think that run on the outside was just so big. And yeah, you'd expected Keselowski, and Larson even said he expected Keselowski to block Stenhouse, and then Larson might have ended up winning if that would have happened, because they probably would have wrecked. But Keselowski stuck to the bottom, and he was close. He almost made it, but close doesn't count. And Sheldon Creed did this one, 2nd place for my outright finisher.
Indeed. I had the KFB call at 12-1. Nobody came with him. He tried. He tried to make a move. He tried to get out to the outside, and everybody was like, no, Kyle, your win streak is not continuing. We'll see you guys back in wherever he ended up finishing. I think it was like below. God, where did he end up? Oh my God, he got shuffled all the way back to 19th. But I mean, look at Kyle Busch had his chances here. I just did not end up at the right lane at the right time.
Yeah. You got to make that move and go for it. And because if that move works, then it looks like Dale Earnhardt in 2000. Like, he's going to just surge to the outside. And if nobody goes up there and blocks that line, they're going to come. But just nobody, there was no takers. And that's probably the one critique you could make, is like, people just aren't willing to take those chances. And you get one guy that will, and nobody will go with them, and they just pay the price. But if you could get some people to go, like, we could have some, that lane was working all day. You could have 3-4 lanes there just fine. So it's unfortunate that more people aren't willing to take those bigger risks, I guess.
I can see it going from like 2 to 3 wide. I can see the little trepidation of going 3 wide that late into the race. I can see it. I don't like it, but I can see it.
And that's, again, like the point thing, like that's like Larson, like, yeah, sure, winning technically locks him in automatically, but a 3rd place finish after getting stage points at both state, like, that is the best absolute day they could possibly wish for. And yeah, you want to win, and you're always going to win, but to cost yourself, if he ends up wrecking in the tri-oval and finishes way farther back and loses a bunch of points, then it's probably better that he just relaxed and finished in 3rd than necessarily going for the win. But that's what we're getting with the points racing too. And again, we're thinking about these things and trying to be smarter about stuff, which is what we want.
Indeed. And then my Busch Blaney Quinella was dead after lap 124. So that is the RIP Busch Blaney Quinella. All right, Cody, let's get rid of Talladega in the Cup race. Let's move over to Talladega in the Xfinity race, where
just like we all thought,
Sammy Smith winning the race. We all had that on our docket. Yeah.
After JRM, Rod, there is nobody better in the garage than Junior Motorsports at taking each other out. They wrecked 4 other 5 cars in one wreck. That was all their fault. Absolutely impressive. They still win the race. So shout out to Junior Motorsports. Shout out to Sammy Smith. All right, Rod, should we cruise through these bets?
Yeah, let's cruise through them.
All right, I took Anthony Alfredo top Chevy 9-1, Alfredo top 5 at 4-1. Look, he was good throughout the day. He was sort of up there in the mix all day, 6th in stage 1. and he was there, gets caught up in one of those wrecks, sustains damage, of course, and not a bad finish. But why do you take long shot top Chevys? Well, David Starr finished in 8th place. Brennan Poole finished in 9th place in Chevys. So you like that. Again, Sammy Smith obviously wins, but you wouldn't have really pegged him as one of the top Chevys either. And Austin Hill, Rex, Justin Allgaier, Rex, Sam Mayer, not up here. Like all your big Chevy guys, not really in this at the end of the deal. And he was good, just got caught up, like TK said here, and that's exactly what happened in that super speedway racing. We cashed him a couple weeks ago at Michigan, didn't pay out this time. Again, that's how those things go, Rob.
Indeed, and exactly how they go is exactly how I said. I had a couple of bets over Allgaier.
A piano? Jeez.
It wasn't. Oh, I'm telling you, dude, it's like extra industrial strength pianos.
It was a teammate piano.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was rough for Justin Allgaier. Look, and for sure, this was a bet that was in danger almost all day long because Justin Allgaier was in the front mix all day long. He finished stage 1 in 3rd place. Justin Allgaier had command of he led 8 laps of this race. He was just there all day long. And I thought for sure, because Creed was hanging around too. Almirola obviously had that penalty that he immediately had to start with and then worked his way up through again. And I think he ended up getting kind of dinged up too at a point in the race too. So there was all kinds of pitfalls for everybody, right? But Justin Allgaier's was just a whole lot more, which is exactly what we said was going to happen. He was going to be good all throughout the race and ends up getting it. And look, ends up cashing both of these bets. Sheldon Creed finished better than Allgaier. Eric Almirola, which I was sweating. That was the one I was sweating the most. But Sheldon Creed ends up finishing in 4th place. Eric Almirola comes in 19th place, which is both better than Justin Allgaier's 25th place finish. So, yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, it's not quite the Larson fade because Allgaier's won super speedways before, and he's been pretty decent, but more times than not gets caught up in the bad luck. Well, it didn't work on the Larson side of things, but guess what? It did on the Allgaier side of things. He cashed this bet. Took Dean Thompson, top Toyota, 8-1. Again, you only have 5 Toyotas in the race. Sheldon Creed finishes in 4th, Chandler Smith in 5th, so they end up holding on, but otherwise 19th place to find the next Toyota. And Dean Thompson finished in 20th. Look, he was 10th in stage 1. He was pretty fast. He was up there kind of throughout the day, and you're like, oh, Dean. And then you see that Thompson Heating and Air or whatever the hell his sponsorship is, just sliding through the grass, and you're like, come on, Dean. But hey, that's what you get with Dean Thompson, as we've talked about many times. It's hero or zero. Unfortunately, it was 0 this week.
Yep, unfortunately. And yeah, the announcers were even saying, "Oh, look at Dean Thomas over there in the whatever," and getting there. And so you thought, "Oh, this one's gonna have a chance." Unfortunately, it didn't. Sheldon Creed, though, back to him. He did actually end up winning Group A at plus 260. I got some pretty good group bets this time around.
Yeah.
I did think that again. I thought Allgaier was going to get it because Allgaier was in this group. Kligerman and Custer were also in this group. Kligerman actually finishes in 12th. He started 6th, and that was another guy that I was kind of scared about too, because Kligerman was making some charges. He didn't lead any laps, but he was definitely in the mix. And Creed he started 4th, finished 4th, but there was times in that race where he wasn't anywhere near the lead group. And so, I mean, he finished both stages in the top 10, which was great. But like I thought for sure at some point Creed was going to be outside of that, especially like I said with Allgaier. But Creed did finish better than Kligerman. He did finish better than Cole Custer, who, by the way, Cole Custer, you want to hate life. Beat Cole Custer for a second. He started 10th, finished 26th. I mean, that guy got bounced, and that was it. There was nothing he could do to get back to where he was. He didn't even finish on the lead lap to Cole Custer. So, yeah, just like TK said, all of them had issues except for Creed until the finish line. Yeah, until the finish line. But, hey, all that matters is that he finished better than all of them at the end, and he did.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, great call by you on both group bets in the Cup and Xfinity Series. I took a flyer on Jordan Anderson, top Chevy at 14-1. Again, David Starr finished up there. Brennan Poole finished up there. Anderson had some mechanical issues early in the race, pulled off for a bit, got back in the race, but obviously you're way behind the 8-ball at that point. Then he got caught up in a wreck, so unfortunate, but that's how it goes. Anderson's been good at Dega before. A guy that I would trust to take again next time, and probably will be next time he's on there. You're getting big odds on a guy that's lesser known, doesn't race a ton, but has proven to be good before, and you like that. So, boy, talk about a sweat, Rod. You got a sweat on this next one.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Jeb Burton, top 5, plus 400 over on BetUS. A great, fantastic number for Jeb Burton. A great, fantastic run for Jeb Burton. Jeb Burton, look at him. He's in the. Oh, he finishes 7th.
What? He was in that wreck?
He was
like, well, fuck this wreck. Back to the buffet, Golden Corral. Yeah. He's battling for the top 5 there at the end. Just came up short. So unfortunate. But yeah, this is a great call by you. Good number at 4-1. And 7th place, like just so close. You're right there with a shot at the end. That's what you're looking for. Took a couple of long shot top 5s. Parker Retzloff at 6-1. Leland Honeyman at 20-1. Honeyman was there. He had this. Guys were live betting Honeyman to win. He was in the mix at the end, Rod. Got shuffled out. He was running top 5. I mean, I thought he was like coming to the end. He was top 5. Got shuffled out. Finishes in 14, so it doesn't look as good as close as it actually was, but it was there with a chance. Thought we were going to catch that. Thought maybe he was going to have a chance to win this race. I mean, he was right there in the mix. Just got shuffled out of it, and man, it's like tossing an anchor behind those cars. As soon as you pop out of line, and it just right back, and unfortunately fall all the way to 14th. So doesn't catch this. As far as Retzloff goes, where did he end up on the day? He ended up in 30th. He was caught up in one of those earlier on wrecks. So I don't really remember a ton of Retzloff throughout the day. But again, it was early. He didn't really have a chance. Look for the track record he has in Xfinity. We saw what he almost did in Cup a couple of weeks ago. Going to be a kid that I'm going to kind of continue to target at these types of tracks, assuming he still has a ride in the future if he didn't piss everybody at Chevy off too much. But man, this Honeyman at 20-1, Rod, that would have been the bet because it was the right call. He was so close. And hey, that's just super speedway racing. And like, that's why we say if you're 14th at the end of this race, you're not that far away from being in 5th because you can go from 5th to 14th really quick. It takes a little longer to get from 14th to 5th, but not that much longer. Like you can get there. And just so close, but unfortunately missed out on that one.
Hey, professional race car drivers on super speedways, can you just not cut the middle when you are getting lapped? Just stay to the bottom of the freaking track. Don't get cute.
You never been on iRacing, Rod. You got to try and catch that draft. It causes a wreck every single time. But if you miss that draft, you're going to be in the 2 laps down in a heartbeat.
Then what's the purpose of you catching the draft if you wreck out half the field, including yourself?
Well, that's the problem if you wreck out yourself. But if you don't wreck out yourself and the field wrecks behind you, you get the lucky dog.
That is
Play
true.
Smarter, not harder, Rod.
Whatever. I don't care. Carson Kvapil, top 5 car. Carson Kvapil did not.
He got JRM'd.
Got JRM'd, yeah. 80. He ended up finishing 27th place. Unfortunately,
he was up like those JRM cars were what, 2nd through 4th or 2nd through 5th when they wrecked? Like it was an exact replay of Daytona a couple of years ago where they were right there in the top 5. Kvapil was probably going to cash this, and then just JRM strikes, Rod. Unfortunate. We talked about the Corey LaJoie thing. Why do you play Corey LaJoie every time? Why do you always have a car lift on Corey LaJoie? Doesn't always cash. Well, if you'd have said that about Ryan Sieg a couple of weeks ago at the last drafting track, Rod, and not played him this week, you'd have missed out on the Ryan Sieg car lift. Top Ford plus 350. Finishes in 2nd place. That is the top finishing Ford. Top 5, 4-1. Also gets that this motherfucking close to 28-1 to win. Another Sheldon Creed 2nd place for Ryan Sieg. I cannot tell you how many times I have been so close to hitting Ryan Sieg's outright on super speedways, but this is exactly why we bet Ryan Sieg every single time, because if you go back and you look at the last 2, he didn't get it done, Rod. He wrecked out. Why do you keep going back to him? This is why, because now those last 2 races where he wrecked out and we didn't cash the bets, they're paid for. Fix the balance sheet. We're good. We're back in the green. It's fine because he got it done this week. And we were so close to the 28-1, which would have pushed us over the top. But Ryan Sieg, I'm going to continue to bet him every time. This is why. Sometimes he gets caught up in the wreck. Sometimes he's in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's super speedway racing. The reason you keep going back to the Ryan Sieg car lift, because when he hits, and he was so close to winning this race. Gets the top 5, gets the top Ford, and a positive day from Ryan Sieg. So it's what you love to see, and that's why we go back to certain guys time and time again in this kind of racing.
Yep, and for those of you who actually followed it all the way up to a top 3 finish as well, you are happy.
Why did I not do that, Rod?
I don't know. Usually when you do it to
usually
win,
I do. I've gotten off the top 3s lately. I don't know. Oh, well, that's okay.
You talked yourself out of it. But those of you who didn't, congrats to you guys if you're holding that ticket as well. Also, congrats if you're holding the winning car number under 20.5 ticket, -10 or -110 rather. Sammy Smith, 8 car was under 110. I didn't really sweat this one a whole lot. I know Sieg was there. I know Herbst was there. But for me, I was like, 20.5 still gives me Sheldon Creed, who was also in the mix too. It gave me Jesse Love, who was a lot of those, which is actually what I called to win this race. Jesse Love, he led 28 laps in this race and looked like he pretty much could be in control. But again, you pick the wrong dance partners at the wrong time, and that's it for you. You don't get to win this race. You don't get to hang on to the lead. You give the 7 car too much of a lane underneath you, and you get scooped up into the middle, and that's your day as well. So, so just my outright, I had Love because I wanted him to win, but the 8 car still cashed this prop. But for Love, man, that guy, I knew it. I knew he was going to be good, right? He comes out, he qualifies on the pole, kind of like we had, we anticipated Austin Hill to qualify on the pole, but we also knew that Austin Hill wasn't going to finish his race very well. But Jesse Love still stood a chance, and that's the way it goes.
Yeah. Speaking of Austin Hill, look, maybe you don't fade him at Atlanta. Maybe you don't fade him at Daytona. Talladega is the place because it happened to him once again. He's now 0 for at Talladega. I think 14th is his best finish. So just let the record reflect. Ryan Sieg obviously finished in second, was my better outright, but Retzlaff at 40-1 got caught up. Alfredo 28-1 got caught up. Creed 14-1. I mean, he was in the mix there at the end, 4th place, ends up spinning across the line there at the end, but with a chance right there. Almirola 12-1. He had a pretty good car throughout the day. He did get that penalty late, or the flat tire, which the caution sort of saved him, but it wasn't the same at the end. But I mean, he was, I think, top 5, top 7 maybe when that tire went down, and he just all of a sudden pulls out a line, and I'm like, oh, he's got a flat tire. And then obviously throwing debris all over the place. But I think that definitely hurt the car. So maybe would have had more of a shot if he didn't. But pretty happy with this outright card.
Indeed. All right, let's close the book on Xfinity. Let's open it to a chapter that's marked trucks that I am going to rip it out and throw it away. I do not want to recap this race, Cody. I do not want
Why, Rod? Did my outright finish second again?
Your outright finished second, but for the love of God, when you are racing on a super speedway, you cannot wait until the last corner to try to make your move. I know you're young racers. I understand that you're trying to get the gist of racing on these tracks, but some of you are old men and you know better than to wait until the last 400 feet of Talladega to try to make the winning move of this race. Are you ridiculous? You can't run single file for 25 laps and go,
and if the Cup race looked more like this race, I would understand more why people would be upset.
That is not how you run it. That's not how you do it.
Oh, if you don't watch YouTube, well, you just missed out on absolutely hilarious because that's great.
Yeah.
We're not even going to talk about it. You got to go to YouTube and find out what it was. So, but if the Cup race would look more like this, then maybe you'd be a little have more of a case, right? Because it's sort of single filed at the end, and just nobody ever took a shot. And I think we've sort of gone through this transition in super speedway racing. It used to be 10 to go, 5 to go, we got to form up. You got to make your move early. You got to get going. Now everybody waits until they last fucking possible second. And it almost never works, which is that's one of those things where it's okay, let's look at the data more here and realize we got to get going earlier. But that leads to more crashes, I think. And I think that's why people don't do it as much. But if you wait too long, you just don't get there. And we all waited too long, Rod, and that was unfortunate. So Grant Enfinger punches his ticket into the championship 4. Shout out to him. That's huge because we placed tickets on him earlier this fall, I think it was, at pretty good numbers to win the championship. So love going into that race knowing, okay, we've got a good number on a bigger championship guy. TK with, I think playoff drivers. and I think he's mentioned this actually through all 3 series, which it really does come into play with a lot of guys. I think, like, again, the Larson thing, like, take 3rd place here. This is a really good day, and we'll take the points. And yeah, I think it sometimes can backfire on the actual racing part of things. But all right, Rod, Keith McGee, top Ford at 16-1 is how I opened the show. Now, Keith McGee did not make the race, which I warned you that people would not make this race. Well, then Keith McGee jumped into the 28 car, which is a Chevy, to replace Brian Duzant. That truck is really bad. I would never have placed a bet on the 28 truck. And it was bad, and then he got caught up in a wreck. If this didn't get, or if you bet this and it got graded as a loser, I would go and argue that, because he didn't even race in a Ford, so it should be just a non-bet. I mean, yeah, I don't know. If he'd have beat all of the Fords in a Chevy, I would have argued that he was the top Ford at the end of the day as well. But yeah, I mean, if you got graded as a loser on this one, go argue it, because he did not make the race in the Ford. And again, it was a Young's Ford. It would have been fine in the race. I like, not making the race is not indicative that it was a bad bet, but it was a risk that you're taking, and that's why hopefully you waited to bet it and didn't bet it because he didn't make the race. But yeah, it's just like, that's how that stuff goes. And like, to the Ford point though, Lawless Allen in 5th was your top Ford, Rod. Then Ty Majeski in 12th place. Like, that's why you take a long shot Ford in this race, because Lawless fucking Allen is the guy who gets it done for you. So sorry I wasn't on Lawless and I took McGee. More like McWho, am I right, guys? But that's how it goes.
It is how it goes, and that's all right. I mean, that's why we do these. That's why we talk about it through, because people are like, "Oh, you're stupid for Keith McGee." No, we told you that it was a possibility.
And had he made the race in a Young truck, I think he would have been in the mix with Lawless Allen to get this bet. And it's just, that's part of how it works with this.
Indeed. All right. I had Tyler Ankrum over Grant Enfinger. Obviously, nobody finished better than Grant Enfinger. Therefore, Tyler Ankrum did not finish better than Grant Enfinger. Look, Tyler Ankrum did start 7th and was actually in the lead mix for a while. He was kind of mixing it up with everybody. But again, when you don't have the right dance partners, when you put yourself in situations that kind of take yourself away from that lead pack, it's just not going to work for you. Strategy wise as well, kind of took himself out of the mix, and it's frustrating because Grant Enfinger did everything right on Friday night. He did everything right. So there's nothing, it's hard to beat a guy who and normally, again, like we said, when we're fading people on super speedways, it's normally because they don't have a great track history at that particular track. Grant Enfinger, they even said it in the broadcast too, not really great at this track in particular, and has had more problems.
He had that one win, but otherwise, like, it was mostly bad finishes.
And so Tyler Ankrum did not get it done this time, and that's all right. I'll forgive Grant Enfinger because we like Grant Enfinger. It wasn't that we didn't like him.
Yeah,
track record was not good here.
That's how it goes. I never realized until that post-race interview how much of a baby head Tyler Ankrum has on a grown man's body. It looks very disturbing.
There's a fun picture.
There is a fun picture, so check that out. Brett Holmes, top 5, 6-1. Boy, if we could get top 10s in the Truck Series. Roddy finished in 9th place. This was a great bet. I mean, he was in the mix a majority of the day. He was constantly up there at the end with a chance. 9th place at the end of the day. Obviously, we don't get top 10s. That sucks because you probably would have bet the top 10. Took the top 5, and we had a chance at the end. That's what you're looking for. So it's hard to argue that was a bad bet.
Yeah, I again, when you're that close to a top 5 bet, that's kind of what you're at. And like, that's only 4 positions. When you see how close these guys run on a super speedway track, the difference between 9th and
4 positions is one line making a fucking run and Holmes getting into that line. Like, again, try and win this race, guys. Come on.
Let's not get into that. I just want to tell you about Ben Rhodes and cry. Ben Rhodes did not even come close to a top 5 finish in this one. And I'm not saying that it's time to sound the alarm if you're a Ben Rhodes fan, but it might be time to sound the alarm if you're a Ben Rhodes fan, because this should have been a track in which he would have come out and actually he should have been trying to go for the win, but crashes out at lap 38. the 2, the 7, the 99, the 77 all get into a kerfuffle. And sure enough, there he is, Ben Rhodes, 36th place. I'm done. I can't anymore with Ben Rhodes. Superhuman.
Well, Ben Rhodes is winning the next race. Rod said he was done with him. I've made that mistake before, Rod.
This is true. Yeah, but Chase Purdy, Nick Sanchez, that killed another one of my bets too, but we'll get there later.
Yeah. Boy, if we had top 10s, Rod. Spencer Boyd, top 5, 8-1, comes home in 10th place, like again, or 18-1 rather. Again, while these didn't cash, they're good bets. They got the chance at the end. That's what you're looking for. You target guys that are good at this type of racing. Boyd is that guy. Holmes is that guy. Toss in the top Chevy at 75-1 because why not? I mean, a lot of Chevys in the top 10 because there's a lot of Chevys in this race, right? 8 of the top 10 were Chevys. But you're not that far away from being the top Chevy at 75-1. It is worth it, especially if he ends up second or third and it's a Toyota Ford that win, whatever the case may be, if that shakes out a little different. Boyd's there with a chance, and that's what you like to see.
It is. Speaking of there with a chance, Raja Karuth, top 5 truck. Guess what? Plus 320. Raja Karuth comes in 4th. What a run by Raja. He actually
what a comeback.
Like he actually even led 2 laps in this race. But yeah, I mean, Raja Karuth, man, it's just a solid run for that guy. He was able to maneuver his truck. He started 13th, right? Got into the mix of all kinds of craziness. And then, just found his way back up methodically, right to the front, played the strategy right, did the right things at the right time, and got his way to a 4th place finish. Very impressive.
Yeah, and I mean, especially, smoked the tires coming in, had to change the tires when it was going to be fuel only. He was speeding, all of that, fights back. That's why you don't count these guys out. It doesn't matter if you go lapped. It's like Eric Almirola had to start at the back of the field, has to do the drive-through. He's going to be a lot lapped down the whole first stage. Doesn't matter, who cares, because you could fight back. And Raja Karuth, perfect example of that. Winning truck number under 18.5, Rod, plus 105. First place is under that number, as is second place, covered there with Grant Enfinger in the 9 truck. Just too many good trucks underneath of this number with, in plus money side of things, only plus 105, but hey, cash, so it counts, and we'll take it.
We will take it. We won't take the Sanchez anymore. Top 3 plus 250. Started 11th, got in that early wreck, and that was all she wrote for the Sanchez. There was no. I'm glad I didn't say that he was going to win this race.
Is it Sanchez or are we back to Sanchez?
I think we're back to Sanchez now.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. It's the Sanchez.
We got to earn the Sanchez title back, I think.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I gave the disclaimer about not making the race, Rod, because Timmy Hill did not make the race. Had he made the race, I don't know. Oh, I mean, again, he would have survived and been there with a chance. The making the race speed means absolutely nothing when it comes to the race. And it's just, he didn't make it. That happens. Shit happens, is what it is. It's just how it goes. So again, hopefully you waited to place this bet, or it was voided because he didn't participate. Again, check the rules, because if you placed it, it was graded a loss. Maybe they should have graded it as a no bet because he wasn't in the race. You can try and argue it. You might get a credit or something at least. So make sure it's good to always go back through your bets and be like, question it at least, because even if they're like, well, yeah, it still counts, but here, we'll give you this free play or something, you might be able to do something. And like TK said, able to cash out once he noticed he was out of the race. So that's, helpful as well.
Indeed. Yep. Close that bet out before you even have to worry about whether or not they're going to honor it. So, all right. The 9 is not an even truck. Therefore, plus 150 did not cash this bet. So I'm not even going to justify it anymore than that.
That's unfortunate, Rod. Outrights at Spencer Boyd, 125-1. Look, if a 125-1 finishes in the top 10, you'll take it. Brett Holmes, 40-1, finishes inside the top 10. You will take it. 20-1 with Taylor Gray. Make a fucking move, Rod. God damn, it was so close. Once again, Sheldon created the entire weekend, finished in second place at 20-1. And then Corey Heim at 8-1. Look, Heim was 11th. I don't know. I thought that Heim would look more like Enfinger. Like, Enfinger truly sort of dominated this race. I mean, he was second in stage 1, won stage 2, won the race, led a shit ton of laps. Like, he almost had the perfect day. You would have thought that you could get that out of Heim just because that truck's fast, because Heim's good. 8-1 at Corey Heim. I'm probably going to take that anywhere just because there is a big difference in Heim and the rest of the field in general. And TK saying he did try to make a run early and just didn't work. And yeah, that's how it goes. So unfortunately missed on that. But to have a 125-1, a 40-1, a 20-1, all inside the top 10, like and again, these Talladega races, like inside the top 10 isn't half a lap behind. Everybody is there with a chance. One little wreck, one caution. It goes to that one more overtime, and bam, Spencer Boyd could be winning this race. So while we didn't cash any ones there, you're on the right track. You're placing the right bets, and that's what you like to see.
Not with Ben Rhodes. 10-1. There was no that. This was, and again, this was more of just if Ben Rhodes decides to come up and play spoiler, this is the spot where he's going to do it because he's had success on this track in the past, and he could be the one to spoil the show. Well, his show got spoiled, and we did not see an outright on Ben Rhodes, and we weren't going to see an outright on Ben Rhodes because he wasn't Grant Enfinger. Grant Enfinger led 34 of 85 laps on the day, so he dominated. He deserved the win. We should have been on him more than we were. So tip of the cap to you, Grant Enfinger. You got us this week, but we'll figure things out again next week on a Roval in which it's going to be a little bit more craziness that goes on.
It is. Also, very bad news, Rod. Oh, we got our asses handed to us by
of course, because we got cute.
398 for them, 184 for us. This is going to be, that might have sunk our season. So
that's all right.
We're going to have to try
the regular season championship.
We are the Denny Hamlin of this contest. We can cash the regular season championships all day and night. That's really what matters in the end, isn't it?
It is for me, anyways. I mean, look, we did them a favor by resetting it too. So let's put it that way. Because we could have,
if this was Winston Cup standings, we would still be winning. That's all that matters, Rod.
Yep. And now here we are in the playoffs. And this was our mistake. Sorry. We made the wrong adjustment. And,
we got time. We got a couple races left to get them. We'll do our best. So
I think.
All right, Rod, let's get out of here. Talladega's in the books. We're not in Kansas anymore, Toto or Talladega.
Goodbye, Michael.
Yes. Finish off your Michael Waltrip Brewing beer there. Roval this coming week, just have the Cup and Xfinity Series. Trucks are taking some time off once again, we had a good run with them. We'll see them in 3 weeks in Homestead. Cup, Xfinity, back tomorrow with the Cup Series picks. In the meantime, Rod, follow me over on the X at Husker_Zeeb, and hopefully we won't Sheldon Creed all our bets next week.
I would love nothing more than to not Sheldon Creed our bets next week. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bottom, everything I got going on, whether it's here, Sportsbook Review. I got the first touchdown prop bets out there right now for you guys to see. And then, of course, in between media, go check out Seth and Elliott as they break down the Roval for you this week. And, we'll be back tomorrow, like Cody said, with the Cup Series Roval picks. We love you guys. Make sure you go leave those 5-star reviews, guys, and those 5 stars and all that stuff. Like I said, the bosses want to keep us around, and it's up to you guys to help them do that. We love you all. We'll see you tomorrow. Until then, let's go racing and let it ride.